Howdy! In my last video, I answered some questions that you guys asked on Instagram, and one of them was if I miss Korea or not. And that question itself got me thinking about the things that I love about Korea, and that's what I'm going to talk about today. Just a refresher, and for anyone who may be new here, I lived in South Korea for 10 years, from 2010 until 2020. And during that time, I discovered many things that I like about living there. The first thing that I loved about living in Korea is public transportation. Living in Korea, and especially living in Seoul, it's completely unnecessary really to own a car because the public transportation is so well laid out. The subway system in Seoul is so convenient and it's easy to navigate. Most of the maps have several languages listed on them, so even if you don't speak Korean, it's pretty easy to find where you're going. And there are so many stops all over Seoul that no matter where you're trying to go to, most likely there is a subway station that's 10, 15, maybe 20 minutes max walk away from where you are. Along with the subway, there is also the bus system, which is also well laid out, and it is color-coded, so you can tell just by looking at the color of the bus what kind of bus you are taking. Not only are the subway and buses really well laid out, there are also so many other options for transportation. So taxis, they have something called Kakao Taxi, which is kind of like Uber, but you're calling a taxi on your phone. And there are also trains that take you all over different areas of Korea. So if you want to go to Busan for a weekend, which is all the way on the other end, you can do that very easily because there are high-speed KTX trains. And in addition to the city buses that I was speaking on earlier, there are also charter buses that take you to other places in Korea. So you could take a bus to Busan instead of a train if you wanted to. And they have different levels of buses. So you can take a standard economy bus, or you can take a luxury bus, which I did once, and that was amazing. But wait, that is not all. You can also rent a car with an app and not talk to a single human soul doing so. There's an app called SoCar, and you just reserve your car, you go to the parking lot, you use your phone, and it unlocks the car for you. It's like magic. So you get your own private car without actually having to own a car. The second thing is how welcoming people are. Koreans have this concept called Tong, and it's very difficult to describe or translate into English, but it kind of boils down to affection for your fellow man. So I found that the majority of Korean people are very warm and welcoming, especially if it is obvious that you are trying your best to understand and learn about Korean culture. The third thing is how many opportunities there are. This is one of those hindsight is 2020 kind of things, but I realize now that I am in America that while I was in Korea, there were so many work opportunities. Particularly if you speak one of the world's most spoken languages like English or Spanish or Chinese, then you can always find work as a teacher. Outside of teaching, it is admittedly a lot harder to find opportunities if you are not on an F-Series visa, but they still exist. The issue with it is that you have to be willing to work really, really hard to find them. This kind of goes for anywhere that you may be, but networking is a huge help. If you are not getting out there and meeting new people, that's something you gotta do, unfortunately. Number 4, the food. Oh my goodness. I love food. I love to eat. and the food in Korea is amazing. Before I moved to Korea, I could not handle spice at all. And I'm talking like black pepper, table pepper, I could not handle. It was too spicy for me. So I had a little bit of a time of it trying to get used to Korean food because Korean food is generally pretty spicy. Most of the side dishes in Korea, or even a lot of the soups and stews, have red pepper in them. But if you like spicy food, or if that is something that you can work up to, then all of the food is just amazing. And I got really adventurous when I was in Korea, and I started tasting all these things that us Americans generally find to be kind of creepy, like organ meats. And my favorite food now is actually something called sundae-guk, which is blood sausage soup with organ meats. Not only is the Korean food itself amazing, in Seoul particularly, there are so many options for other foreign foods. If you want curry, you can find curry. If you want South African food, there's South African food. If you want Ethiopian food, there's Ethiopian food. I mean, anything you can think of, you could probably find it somewhere in Seoul. And on top of that, whatever you want, you can probably get it delivered. The delivery system in Korea is so well set up. They have several apps like Pedare Minjok or Yogio, and you can get anything under the sun delivered straight to your door in an hour or less. Number 5, the cultural landscape. And when I'm talking cultural, I'm talking cultural activities, such as museums or musicals or things like that. This probably boils down to Seoul just being such a huge city, and most huge cities having a lot of cultural things to do. But I was just amazed by the variety of things that you can do. Not only are there museums and orchestra and plays and all of these things that you can go see, there are also so many classes and things that you can take as well. I think just about anything that I have ever imagined, I was able to find a class on it. Salsa dance, ceramics, leatherworking. There are things called gongbang in Korea where you can go and learn skills like leatherworking or jewelry making or flower arrangement. And they're everywhere. It's so easy to find. You will never be bored if you live in Seoul, trust me. Number 6, you can drink anywhere. This was something that was pretty exciting to me as an American going to Korea, because here in America we have open container laws, meaning we cannot have open alcoholic beverages on public land. In Korea, you can drink alcohol anywhere. If you want to drink alcohol on the beach, you can. If you want to drink alcohol at the park, you can. If you want to drink alcohol walking down the street on the sidewalk, you can. You'll look crazy, but it's not illegal. Some of my favorite memories are just taking a blanket down to the river with a bottle of alcohol and just chilling there with my friends and shooting the breeze. That's something I would not be able to do here in America without constantly looking over my shoulder. Number 7, healthcare. Here in America, healthcare is just so convoluted. But in Korea, it's not so. It's very easy. I never had any headaches resulting from some sort of medical care that I received. I have 2 stories from when I received medical care in Korea that will probably shock any of you Americans watching. One of them is when I got my top 2 wisdom teeth taken out. I've had lots of dental work done in Korea before, so I kind of knew what was going to happen, and because of that, I decided to time myself going in. I had never been to this dentist before, and I didn't even have an appointment. I just walked in and said I would like to have my wisdom teeth taken out, and they said, "Sure, fill out this form." I filled out the form, they took the x-rays, they took me back, sat me in the chair, and I kid you not, 15 minutes later, my wisdom teeth were out, and they sent me home with painkillers. Easy peasy, 15 minutes in and out. Brand new patient to that dentist. In America, that probably would have been a bare minimum 2-week process. The second story is when I went to the ER, which in and of itself is shocking to us Americans. If we hear ER, we think something must have really been serious. At the time, I was having chest pains and I decided to be on the safe side and go to the ER. The hospital was right down the street from me. It was like a 5-minute walk, so I just walked myself there. I walk in, tell them what's wrong. They're like, come on over. They set me on a gurney. They do all of these tests to make sure that there's nothing wrong with my heart. They put an IV in me and they let me rest. They give me a warm blanket. And then about an hour later, after the IV was out and I'm feeling better, they sent me home with a bill of, get this, 25 bucks. 25 bucks for all of those tests and an IV. I don't even want to think about how much that would have been here in America. Those are just a few of the prominent things that come to mind when I think about the things that I love about Korea. What about you guys? If you have been to Korea, are these some of the things that you liked? Are there any other things that you like about Korea? Let me know down in the comments. As always, thank you so much for watching. If you would like to subscribe to be notified of the next video, that would be awesome, but of course you don't have to. And thank you so much for watching to the end of this one. See you next time. Bye-bye!